Hey everyone, George here. Welcome back to the channel. Last time we got together, we were having a real conversation about where we should go with this tank. And I did get a lot of people that responded either through my Facebook page or my channel. And I just wanted to let you know that this is the final product. And I want to tell you how we got there. So let's get to that and we'll talk about it right now. As I said, this has been a very difficult journey with this new tank here. Working with a 38-gallon Peninsula tank is just not something that's in my wheelhouse. It's not something that I do all the time. If anybody knows me or watches my channel, they know that I'm really used to working with the smaller tanks, the nano-sized tanks, 25 gallons and under. And I would say the majority of the tanks that I work with are between 5 and 10 gallons. So this was a real difficult process for me, but I finally think that where I'm at here on this tank is going to look really good over time as the plants grow out, as I maybe add or subtract fish to this tank. This tank right now has some fish in here that I think are kind of a mistake, and we'll see as things go here whether or not we remove certain fish from the tank and leave others, or maybe even add some others that are going to enhance the overall quality and beauty of the tank. So what I want to do is talk about how we got to where we're at right now. So in this area here, didn't do a whole lot at all. Just sort of glued down a little bit more mosses along the rock areas. As you can see, as we move in this direction here, this piece of wood, which has been the absolute horror of my whole journey with this tank, is now in a situation where I think it looks more natural. It looks like it might have washed up on a beach somewhere, whatever, but it has really taken on a completely different look after playing with it in every direction you can imagine. I have finally come up with a design that I think is going to be really good. Now, the only thing I would say to you with this is I still don't like this end of the piece of wood. I was going to cut that off, but I think I'm going to be creative with that. I think I'm going to find some plants that sort of work themselves around it, some viney type plants and mosses that I think that's going to look really good by the time we're done here. So other than having a few more plants that I have on order that have not arrived yet and adding them to the aquarium, I think we're pretty much done with the design of this tank here. So what I want to tell you is that some of the plants that I'm missing, that I don't have in here, are going to fill in some of these gaps in here and down in this area that are going to add a lot more life to this plant. Now, I do want to keep the flow of the aquarium as it is, because we're going in this direction here, rule of thirds, just like this, and that golden rule that we all talk about is there. So what I would say is this: I think that there's a lot of things going on with this tank that are going to be beautiful as the plants grow out and mature and start covering some of the little areas where the rocks are. I was very careful to be very strategic about where I planted these repens here that are all along the front and of course on the back side, because this is a see-through tank, and as I talked about in my last video, I just don't do see-through tanks like this. But because this is a unique situation where the people that I'm dealing with here wanted to see this kind of thing, I had to sort of think out of the box of something that I don't traditionally do. So if you look at the tank from the other side, which I don't have an opportunity to do right now, but I will do that when I'm finished with it, it really looks spectacular from the other side as well. So all three sides where there's glass and you can look through, I think the tank really falls into the category of having all of those spaces, very viewable, very nice to look at, and that sort of thing. So I'm really, really happy with the final design on this. I'm glad that I took the time to sort of come up with this design and use the same piece of wood. I was really absolutely determined to use that piece of wood because it was sort of like, is the wood going to defeat me, or am I going to defeat the piece of wood and make that wood work? And I think I was able to do that. It has a lot of characteristics in it here of pieces of the wood that are, you know, sort of rooted type pieces that flow nicely into the soil and that sort of thing. And if you look on the opposite side, which I will make another video of this as the tank matures in about 3 months, I think you'll see what I'm talking about, that everything we did in here is sort of forward looking, and we're going to be able to see this as a really beautiful design in the long term. So the last thing I want to talk about before I end this video is I do have some plants that will be coming that I will be filling in here. They are crypts, which are going to be very low growing crypts. They're not going to be high up. That's not the idea of this. I don't want this crazy you know, jungly look that I have been stuck on forever with my nano tanks. I wanted this tank to have a look to it that is going to be pleasing to the eye. And I think once I get those plants and I get them in the tank and strategically placed, I think that you're going to see exactly where I'm going with this. I want to thank everybody for your great ideas. I want to thank everybody for being patient with me and having a sense of humor about the two-horned wooden dragon that was the nemesis of my frustrations here. So, you know, with all that, the nemesis of your frustrations can sometimes be the genesis of your new ideas. So with all that being said, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. The fish are extremely happy in here. Everybody's sort of settled in, and it's been a couple of days since I finished this, and I've noticed that the fish are actually more calm, getting along better. There's much more places to hide for the smaller fish, such as the cardinals, who happen to stay on the opposite side over there for some reason. They kind of like that. And, you know, fish are creatures of habit, and when they find something they like, they obviously continue to do that, and everybody seems to have found their place here. So, with that being said, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I want to thank everyone again for your patience on this. I feel a lot more comfortable that if I were to take on a project of this size, again, I know 38 gallons is a big nothing for 90% of the people that are on YouTube and do channels about fish and stuff like that. Freshwater aquariums were never ever my original thought. I had salt water for so many years, and getting into freshwater, I was just really nervous about doing anything other than nano tanks where I could just stuff a lot of stuff in a small area, have nano type fish and invertebrates and that kind of thing, and I was very comfortable with that. So this was really stepping out of my comfort zone and getting into something completely different. And anyways, I want to thank you, and I hope that you will leave some comments that are really positive about this. If you don't, you know, and you have some negative things to say about it, I'm not going to really change much other than adding a few plants here and there. Like I said, some very small growing crypts and some more repens that we have here, here, and here. I just don't think there's enough of those in there. And when we do, I think it's going to fill in very nicely, and I think the tank over time is going to be beautiful. So I'm very excited about it. I'm very happy that I had the opportunity to just get in here. It was kind of weird, you know. I got up the other morning. I said, you know, if I don't do this, if I don't go there and do this, I'm never going to do it. I had ideas in my head. I had some sketches with me, and it absolutely turned out exactly the way I had hoped it would. So anyways, again, thank you. Hit subscribe, hit like, please leave comments, hit the bell up there so that you know every time I have a new video coming out. And I want to thank you again, and we're going to talk again real soon. Thanks a lot. So I did take a minute to come behind the back side of the tank to kind of show you the look. I actually like this side better than I like the front, which is kind of frustrating, but I think by the time I get some plants in here that are going to sort of fill in and do the job that I want them to do, I think everything is going to turn out perfect. So happy to show you the opposite side of this tank and hope that you will find it as pleasant to the eye as I do. And like I said, by the time we get some of these plants to grow out and mature, and the way we have placed everything in here, I think that this tank is going to be beautiful as it matures, grows out, and I just have a visual in my head of what it's going to look like, and I just know it's going to be absolutely spectacular. So thank you guys, everyone, for taking the time to watch the video and to see the changes that were made here. And again, subscribe, like, and please leave those comments, because like you, every one of us learn from each other. So anything that you have to say, negative or positive, it's very important to me, because it gives me an opportunity to sharpen my skills and to do the kind of job that I want to do. Again, thank you. We'll talk again soon.